Nuclear weapons will soon be in Ukraine. This is exactly the kind of propaganda that Russian special services, together with the Kremlin, have started to spread. Putin is convinced that Britain and France are already transferring nuclear weapons technology to Ukraine. What is the purpose of this nonsense from the Russian Federation? Could this be a cover for a nuclear strike? And is it really possible for Ukraine to regain nuclear weapons? We will tell you all about this in our report.
Nuclear weapons are heading to Ukraine. This is exactly what was stated by the Russian Foreign Intelligence Service.
Britain and France are preparing to arm Kyiv with a nuclear bomb, according to the SVR of the Russian Federation. The British and French want to disguise the transfer of nuclear weapons to Kyiv as if Ukraine is developing them itself.
Naturally, this information is a fake, invented by Russia itself. Both France and Britain have already denied this information.
This is a blatant attempt by Vladimir Putin to distract attention from his monstrous actions in Ukraine. There is not a shred of truth in this. You probably saw the Prime Minister's words earlier this morning, in which he paid a heartfelt tribute to the truly incredible resilience of the Ukrainian people. We will continue our steadfast efforts to ensure a just and lasting peace for everyone involved.
By the way, China has also stated that it has no relevant information about this. Dictator Putin also joined in spreading this fake, and to push it further among the public, he even emerged from his bunker to make a comment.
Well, now in the media, there are already reports probably about their attempts or intentions to even use some kind of nuclear component. They likely have a clear understanding of how this entire situation could eventually end. Right now, our own current operational information is also being reported across various media outlets throughout the day today. It really should be located right there, most likely, if you have not yet had a proper chance to see anything. But it is about a potentially devastating explosion of our gas systems on the floor of the Black Sea.
History has already shown us, if Putin accuses Ukraine of something, it means he is planning to do it himself. That's how it was before with chemical weapons. He first claimed Ukraine would use chemical weapons against Russia, but days later, Russian soldiers attacked Ukrainian forces with those same weapons. To this day, the rhetoric hasn't changed, and Russia may stage a nuclear provocation. All of Putin's inner circle is already threatening Kyiv with a nuclear strike and the world with nuclear war. For example, Medvedev.
And France is currently making preparations to facilitate the transfer of sensitive nuclear technologies to Ukraine. We all perfectly understand the results that this could lead to. This represents a direct path toward a world war. But we have consistently and repeatedly made clear the severe consequences of taking such steps. All of this is well known. Nevertheless, such games are taking place.
In an effort to demonstrate panic and decisive action, the Federation Council is calling on the UN Security Council and IAEA to investigate the alleged intentions of Britain and France to transfer nuclear devices to Kyiv. But experts say this is quite a real tactic in the negotiation process.
But when we look at the actual reality of the situation, the most likely reason for such rhetoric, this increasingly aggressive nuclear rhetoric, especially against the backdrop of the expiration and the unfortunate lack of any formal extension of the New START Treaty, which officially ended on February 5th, is that the Russian Federation now wants to deliberately prolong and complicate the negotiation process and is simply not inclined toward what the United States is currently insisting on at Ukraine's specific initiative. There is absolutely no doubt that this is a high-level diplomatic gathering at the level of leaders, because we can clearly observe that the political subgroup essentially continues to maintain the existing state of affairs.
As we can see, Putin doesn't like the idea of meeting with Zelensky at all. Moreover, this is not advantageous for the dictator. He would be forced to fulfill agreements, and that is not in his sphere of interests. That's why he is now doing everything to have an advantage at the negotiating table and to delay the negotiation process itself.
The Russians have always done this. When they don't want something, they invent an external factor. Only just very recently there was this circulating Russian myth and rumor as if the residence in Valdai had been shelled. In short, Russia has employed these specific types of deceptive methods more than once already.
It is also quite a foolish way to further worsen the already complicated relations between Britain and the United States. Moreover, this could further demoralize the Ukrainian population. The Russian special services are placing great bets on this. And it's hard to believe that such a nuclear sensation was accidentally published exactly on the anniversary of the start of the full-scale war against Ukraine. In this way, Putin is closing the question for his people as to why the special military operation is taking so long. In Russia, they claim that nuclear components could be brought into Ukraine so that Kyiv could create nuclear weapons on its own territory. And it is quite realistic that Ukraine could regain its nuclear status because it could use these components to create its own nuclear arsenal.
And that would be a very solid option in terms of maintaining robust security guarantees. That is, to prevent any further attacks from the Russian Federation. That would undoubtedly be an exceptionally positive and beneficial development. But in any case, this security guarantee would only be fully implemented after a definitive and lasting ceasefire had been achieved. That is, a comprehensive truce involving the active and rigorous monitoring by the United States of America, the formalization of an international peacekeeping contingent from a coalition of willing countries, and so on and so forth. In other words, in order to talk about deploying foreign nuclear weapons on the territory of Ukraine, it is necessary to protect them accordingly and ensure their security.
But there is another but: the high cost of storing and maintaining nuclear missiles. In wartime conditions, this is extremely expensive for Ukraine. International oversight bodies and the Ukrainian government itself deny any intention to restore its nuclear status. Therefore, discussions about nuclear weapons for Ukraine are impossible and only serve the interests of Putin, who is trying to manipulate the entire world.